All right. Hello, everyone. Wow. Last week and this week, we had our first times ever having technical difficulties. So thank you so much for running a few minutes late. But we figured it all out. So we're here. We're happy to be here. And we are going to get things rolling. So, first and foremost, my name is Kylie. I'm the events director here at Product School. We are a school that has 14 campuses worldwide, and we're constantly growing. We do these online events just to kind of keep the information going, to expand the dialogue. Yeah, so these online events have been really amazing and they're really fun. And today we have an amazing human here today. We have Kenyon, former Amazon SEO product manager. So he is a product manager with 7 years of enterprise SEO experience, product experience. So he currently works as a senior product manager at Carvana, driving products that provide customer value and fuel growth. Previously, he worked as SEO product manager at Amazon and Overstock.com, leading product initiatives ranging from UGC to isomorphic web apps. So I'm super happy to have Kenyon on the channel today. He'll also be doing a live talk in Seattle in a couple months. So thanks so much, Kenyon. Take it away. And we'll unmute yourself. Oh, there we go. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kylie. I'm
Wonderful.
going to take over here. Okay, yeah, as she mentioned, we had some technical difficulties, so I might appear as Nahir, who is really just a coworker who was nice enough to let me use his laptop to present. So without any further ado, I'm Kenyon Nademanu. Like Kylie mentioned, I've been doing enterprise SEO for about 7 years. Been lucky enough to work at companies like Carvana, Amazon, and Overstock. And during that time, I've kind of run the gamut from isomorphic web apps, indexation, keywords, templating, you name it. So enterprise SEO is something I'm super passionate about and lucky enough to get to work on every day. So I'm really excited to come on here and give you guys some information about not only what is enterprise SEO, but how you can use it to build value for your customers and your company moving forward if that's something that you're interested in. So given that, let's just jump right in. So before we go into exactly everything, I'm just going to give you kind of a high-level overview of what we'll be discussing today. So first off, I'll be defining enterprise SEO, and once I kind of define that and jump into that, it'll be kind of apparent why it's important to distinguish enterprise SEO from other forms of SEO. In addition to that, I will be explaining search engines, how they work, and why that's very critical to enterprise SEO and SEO in general. And then also we'll be talking a good amount about SEO and how it's focused on building customer value. I'm definitely a very customer-focused SEO. I think that would be my #1 pillar of SEO. So it served me very well. So I'll definitely go into why I take that stance and kind of how you can use some of those tactics to improve your customer value for your user base. Or whoever you are building content or you're using your website for. And then finally, I'll go into how you scale SEO at an enterprise. And then I'll keep track of time. Hopefully I'll have enough time. I also have kind of a lightning round for anybody who's interested in learning some very quick technical SEO tips that should be useful at any enterprise. So with that, I'll just get started. So enterprise SEO, traditionally in the business, we basically consider enterprise to be these giant corporations, usually Fortune 1000 or Global 2000. In SEO, we add on to that definition to include sites that have over 20,000 pages generally, and that rule kind of depends on a few different things as far as like how many of these pages are like category pages, product pages, or detail pages, stuff like that. And why this distinction is important is even before I get into that, we'll go into kind of why there's a different definition for SEO versus just the regular enterprise definition. If you imagine a site like Berkshire Hathaway, it's currently trading at $284,000 per share, run by Warren Buffett. It's definitely an enterprise company. However, it has only 1,100 pages indexed in Google. Most of those pages are news releases and articles. I would argue that this website would not be considered enterprise, while Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway are definitely considered an enterprise company as far as like the optimizations that you would take for those pages, not including creating new pages, just those 1,100. That would not be enterprise SEO tactics. On the other hand, you look at a website like Airbnb, 10 million pages. If you go to the home page, they have 64 different href lang tags, meaning that they are, I'll get into canonical tags a little bit later, but essentially those 64 href lang tags mean that they are creating a version of their homepage for 64 different languages and or geos. So when Airbnb publishes a page, they're not thinking about just publishing it in the US. They're thinking about publishing it all over the world, all over different languages, all over different language variations that can change by the region that you're in. So when you have 10 million pages, you're doing it in all these different locations. You're considering mobile, you're considering tablet, you're considering desktop, you're considering your mobile application. Possibly that might be, that application is probably iOS and Android. There's all these different layers and dimensions to optimizing and delivering value for stuff on that scale. And so that's why we focus on enterprise, is because once you get to that level similar to Airbnb, the scale is just enormous. And so you have to find scalable solutions. The techniques that work for a website that has 1,000 pages is very different than a website that has 10 million pages just in the US, not to count all those other languages and regions. So that's enterprise SEO. Suffice it to say that we're looking at enterprise SEO as big corporations, but also very large websites that require scalable solutions. And then we're going to how search engines work. So if you're looking at this slide and you're like me, I'm seeing this as very tiny print, and it's really hard to read. That's not a mistake. That's there on purpose. As a human, if I come in and look at these two pieces of text that are styled different, there's one that I can't really read, and then there's 5 bullets that explain to me kind of the amount of work that Google does and the amount of queries that they process. Like the first one says, in 1999, it took Google a month to crawl and index 50 million pages. In 2012, they're doing that in less than a minute. These bullet points speak to the scale on which Google operates. They also serve another purpose. I always try to take SEO and break it down to a human level. If you look at Google and you look at the 5 bullet points that are in there, you can understand that it has an enormous amount of computer processing to try to meet the needs of its customers. And you have literally trillions of searches coming in. It's very difficult to go out and gather and understand all of the data that's on the internet, which is what Google and other search engines are trying to do. They're going out into the internet, they're grabbing documents or web pages and trying to decipher them. So imagine that you're Google and you're tasked with finding out, with giving reliable results to these trillions of questions that you're getting. 20% of them you've never seen before. It's an enormous computational task to do. And so like the very first thing that I tell people to do when they're trying to understand a search engine is realize that you're presenting your content and your information for this search engine to grab and understand. And what happens a lot of the time is, just as you are the human looking at this first paragraph and then the bullets, is like if I see this, I'm going to completely skip over that first paragraph because it's too small, it's not structured. The amount, both of these are saying the same thing. They're explaining the scale at which Google operates. But the time that it takes me to understand and decipher what's in that first paragraph, I'm just not going to do it. I'll go to the second paragraph or the second set of bullet points and get my information there. And the amount of time that it takes me, the amount of effort is so much smaller if I were to try to understand and make reasonable sense of that first paragraph. There's an opportunity cost associated with that. What about all the other information I could have been reading that was much easier had I not spent the time to read that small paragraph? That is a very fundamental thing to think about when you're optimizing for Google. Is they want to find new and useful information. They want to be able to crawl the web and retrieve documents, understand those documents, match those up with user queries. However, there's an opportunity cost. When you look at the scale that they're operating, they have to be able to make very fast and intelligent decisions on how much time they're going to spend on a page, how much time they're going to spend like trying to understand, decipher, and store that content. And so you can do a lot of very simple things. This is obviously a very simple example, but structuring your data and making it presentable for the search engines at a very high level allows you to be indexed and understood and get your data in front of the customers. And so I'll step back really quick and just give a quick story about how Google started. There was these two young guys named Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Sergey Brin, at the time, I believe, was the youngest admitted PhD student at Stanford. And they came up with this idea to basically crawl and understand the entire website. It astounds me how young these guys were when they started this. And so what they did was they set up some servers and they started crawling the entire internet as it was then, based on pages that linked to each other. That is the foundation of Google, is they're traversing the World Wide Web based on links that are out there. And that hasn't changed since all those years back, is that Google is ingesting all of these links. They're building under semantic relationships. They're striving to understand all of the content that's on the web. And why that is important to us to understand is that we can do ourselves a favor by aligning with their purpose. They're trying to crawl and understand the web and serve customers the best information. If you're doing that on your website and your website is looking more like this first paragraph, meaning that you have a bunch of data, but it's really hard to decipher, it takes me too long, they will just move on and find that information more likely somewhere else. So that's a very high level understanding of how search engine works, is that they're going out, they're trying to meet their customers' needs by grabbing documents, understanding them, understanding the relationship between the documents, and their primary method for doing that is using links or a link graph. The reason for that is that it's thought to be like a very great way to get like a citation value. Like if you link to somebody, you're showing a vote of faith. So they use those links to kind of build a link graph and determine authority, and then show relevant content or documents for queries. High-level search engines. I'll also kind of talk to again about my pillar in SEO, and that's that creating value is the only long-term SEO strategy. And the reason that I say this is it's all good and well to follow the SEO basics. And when I say SEO basics, I mean the things that, if you're familiar with SEO, you've already heard 1,000 times. Finding the right keywords, building your titles, building your meta descriptions, your H1s, your rel canonicals, all these kind of page elements, structuring your data with structured data, page speed. Yes, all those things are important. But if you build any of those without your customer in mind, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can be as technically advanced and you can have everything optimized as you want. If you're not solving a problem for your customer base or your user base, that is completely worthless. It's very important to realize that Google and search engines follow customer behavior, meaning that they are going to look for what they believe humans are interested, what humans are deriving value from and present that to their users. That's the core of how Google works. So I focus on this so much because a lot of times in SEO or digital marketing in general, people get so hung up on being able to rank and get traffic and do all that stuff. That's great, but you need to start with your customer first. And when I do this, I always start from the customer. I build that into my project tenets. So in my BRD, you're able to see like, we're doing this for the customer and this is why we're doing it. If you do that, the links, the traffic, the ranking will follow. It doesn't work the other way around. I have this little robot here as an icon. It's actually the Moz.com Rogerbot logo, and I like this example because when I was starting in SEO about 10 years ago, I would read the content from Moz.com. Rand Fishkin has amazing content. He's no longer with them. He's at SparkToro now, but he has this amazing content. It literally enabled me to learn SEO I would dive in and digest just hours and hours of video, just really great text content with questions and answers, this robust thing that provided so much value to me that I'd spend hours there. I ended up signing up for their product. I've linked to it in a couple different articles. Obviously, I'm like speaking about it now. And the reason I mention this is because that is a customer-focused website and a product offering. It provides an immense value for the people that sign up for it or use their content. And if you go to Google right now and you Google SEO and you're not signed in, and under your personalized results, if you do like an incognito search, Moz.com will show up first for the term SEO. And the reason for that is because they started with their customer. They started with the customer value. Yes, they did do the traditional SEO as well, but they provided that customer value. It's inherently baked into the entire experience. The stats show it too. They only have like 50,000 pages indexed, but they have 5 million links according to SEMrush. So that's like 100 backlinks per page, and I don't think that they're necessarily calculating. They might be, but I don't think that they're starting off with figuring out how are we going to get these on average 100 links to the page. They're starting off thinking how are we going to make amazing content that people are going to love, share, and link back to. And that goes all the way through from small companies up to enterprise. Start with your customer, work backwards. Yes, implement the technical strategy. If you do those things, you will find success. I'd like to move into kind of the last and final thing, which is scaling SEO. And this is, again, something that I think people think is, a technical thing, and it is a technical thing. I'll jump into the tools a little bit later, but first I want to talk about like the relationships that you need to build in an enterprise situation to be successful at SEO. I cannot stress this enough. If you're Airbnb or you're Amazon or you're any of these large companies and you have millions, tens, if not hundreds of millions of pages, the idea that you as one human or even a team of 5, 10, 15 humans are going to be able to understand everything that's going on in these sites and be able to monitor them, even if it was a static website, not to mention that there's daily deploys, everything's changing. It's just not possible. It's not feasible. And the way that you scale that is that you evangelize SEO within your organization. And what I mean by that is that you get people excited about projects that you're working on, you help them with projects that they're working on, and when you have success with those projects, you share that success, you scream it from the mountaintop. Not that you were successful, that the team that you worked with or the persons you worked with, that you guys worked together and achieved this success together. And what you'll see as a result of that is that other people get excited about SEO. They want to work with you. They want to share data with you. They want to be people that give you insights to help you do your job better because they know that you're going to do the same thing from them. So what I recommend is seek out people that have similar interests. For example, if you're SEO, that might be your content team, your UX team, your DevOps team, your performance team, numbers of engineering teams. All these kind of teams provide this value because when they are excited about SEO, they're going to keep it at the top of their mind. They're going to incorporate it in their projects. This is very critical. Is like with the amount of things that will change, you won't be able to check that everybody it thinks of SEO unless you create a process and people are excited about it, so that when they are coming up with concepts, they're incorporating SEO and they're not publishing to customer-facing products without doing kind of an SEO consideration. We're running on short on time, so I'm gonna stop there. But that is a super critical thing: is that to scale yourself in SEO, you need to rely on relationships that you build within your enterprise, and to do that, you have to be able to be successful, and you have to be able to be successful, and then you also have to be the type of person that's willing to share that success and highlight the people that helped you be successful. So I'll stop there, and then I'll go on to kind of this tool set that I have here. You also need to be able to have tools to manage this kind of crazy data. Not saying that you need all of these tools, but this is, I use pretty much all of these except for the exception of distilled ODN, which I'm plan to use and have gotten a good review for, or have gotten a good demo of. The rest of these, like, you don't need them. Don't run out and say, like, I saw this webinar, I need to go buy all these to your boss. Don't do that. But these are super helpful. Just the top three, the reasons that they're at the top, those are free or have free versions. You can use Google Analytics, Google Dev Tools, Google Search Console, absolutely for free. Start there. You can also use Splunk for free. SEMrush has a free version. So get expert with those things that you can use for free, and then start looking. Node.js is also completely free. Screaming Frog has a free version. So, like, play with those tools. They will allow you to extract data at a very high level, track data at a very high level. SEO Clarity and Conductor, both ranking platforms. If you have 100,000 keywords that you need to track daily or weekly, you need advice on content, how it's performing, they'll help you do that. Spotify and Screaming Frog can crawl millions of pages, extract data from those pages, provide you automated reports. Distilled does A/B testing, incredibly important for SEO. It's very different than A/B testing for traditional websites where you can split on users. SEO, you can't really split on users. You have to split on pages, so you have to group pages that perform statistically similarly. So Distilled is excellent at that. Elasticsearch, a Lucene-based search engine, it will help you find internal searches. It can serve documents in a number of different ways. Splunk will help you get your server logs, so you can find out how many times Google's sending a request for any and every page. Selenium is automation and regression testing, so you can find out, like, once I've built this SEO suite, is anybody pushing changes that are breaking it? And SEMrush, keyword data for pretty much everything. I love SEMrush. And Node.js could get into this. I'm going to be super quick about it. It's so awesome, but it's an open source cross-platform that executes JavaScript on the server side, and it's a runtime that's built on Google V8. Don't have enough time to get into that, but super excited about that. It's amazing. So I'm looking at time. It looks like we've got about a minute left, and I'm going to run through some of these really quick. I know that this is kind of very high level for people that maybe are like, we are already doing enterprise SEO and want some tips that they can leave with. So I'm going to lightning round these really quick and hope that we have some time for a Q&A afterwards, where I can get into a little bit of some additional stuff. So I'll go through Chrome DevTools, one of those tools that I had in the previous slide. It literally gives you so much information about your pages in real time. You can go through the network tab and see how your calls going in and out. Play with it, read about it. It's amazing. Audit your rendering blocks. Understand what things are blocking your initial page load. What elements are you making customers wait before they can start interacting with your page that they really shouldn't be waiting for? Understand that. Make sure that it's right. Pick up your pixels. This just means that if you're on an older site, like enterprise site, is understand, like, there's probably a myriad of tracking pixels and old code that's probably bloating your site. Create a process for monitoring that and making sure that people can't just throw up pixels all over the site and code that's non-performant. It will help you in the long run. Understanding your keyword segments, not just your keywords, but, like, do you have an index of all of the keywords that your competitors are ranking for that you're not, or that you are both ranking for? Tons of opportunity will always be there. Rapid experimentations. This is how you win at SEO. figure out how to do A/B and or if you're able multivariate tests, do them fast. And once you find those results that win, scale them and keep testing. That I cannot stress that enough. User-generated content, I could go into this about an hour. This is a feedback loop. Basically, if you have user-generated content, your customers will give you information about the products and services that you offer to other customers. It's super powerful. It helps conversion. It creates what I would argue is the best content for other customers. It's non-biased. It does in a roundabout way help you rank in SEO in a lot of situations because you're getting this very rich content that comes from customers' mouth. So I mentioned the feedback loop is because once you have people creating user-generated content, like think of a Pinterest, they're literally creating very good content for you. That content gets indexed. A lot of times that will rank, bring traffic. That will bring more customers who will in turn, a percentage of them create more content that will then rank, get more users. It's a feedback loop. User-generated content, super important. Read about that. Keeping your tabs on your page speed. Automate your page speed reports. Find a metric that everybody in the organization agrees on as how to mention first page read. If that's time to first render, time to first load, first page load, whatever. Find something, agree on it. Maybe find a few of them and make sure that everybody has that. You're aware of when features launch and how they impact that speed, and everybody's aware of that. Double check app indexing. I have very rarely seen app indexing installed correctly the first time, so make sure that when someone clicks through on their mobile phone, lands on your app, you've installed your tracking correctly. Usually doesn't go on. React, Angular, Node. I talked about Node a little bit. This is super interesting. You get server-side rendering. You can have isomorphic code, which means that your code can run on the client and the server and be performant. It unlocks a lot of cool stuff. Spend some time doing that. Optimize your images. Just name your images correctly. Have an image sitemap. Have alt text. It's a standard for the web, so make sure you do that. And then finally, if you are able to, I'm just combining one with a few below. Use a CDN to deliver that content. It will save you speed. It will improve the experience for your customers. Test in mobile. This shouldn't be something that needs to be included. You're surprised at how many people don't test in mobile. Get very good at it and can always include it with your testing, and always QA as a PM. Make sure that you're doing both desktop and mobile. And then finally, scale yourself. Find all of your important metrics and data. I could have gone on hours about SEO and data and reporting. Super important. Figure out how to get the most important data. Create that as an automated report. Use anomaly detection so you get an email when something happens that's out of the norm. And that will help you be in a lot more places than one. So we are over. I guess I will pass this back for Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Lightning round. I was like, just wanting more information. I think we're just definitely going to have you back on the channel so we can go more in depth into the SEO and the data. And I think that no matter what industry people are in, this is such a hot topic and it's always going to be needed. And so, yeah, to have your expertise and to come on the channel, we're so thankful. We had a lot of questions throughout. Most people asking, about, what softwares you had mentioned and all kinds of things. So, yeah, I just want to make sure people are asking what's a website that has SEO info and tips. And then someone put WebDriver and Selenium. And then there's also the Node.js you talked about. I'm just trying to recover a lot of what people were asking. So yeah, and what was the open source service that you were excited in talking about? And someone said the Node.js. So I think that was correct, right?
Yep, those are the same, one and the same. And so Node.js is this what I consider to be revolutionary piece of technology. Again, it's an open source runtime that allows you to create JavaScript, and this is the core idea of it. Is it allows you to write JavaScript that can be executed on the server. And so what that means for everybody, especially SEOs, is I can now write functional JavaScript. Think about things that I'll take a step back. You can write everything that you would usually write on the client, meaning that it's code that a web browser would execute. You can now write that on the server. And so as SEOs, we've had just a terrible time with JavaScript in the past. You never know how much of it Google's going to index. You never know how quick it's going to be, how performant. JavaScript's an amazing technology, but it's very difficult to understand or predict how search engines are going to deal with it. Not to say that Node solves this, but it does give us a way to say, we're going to allow the search engines to index this on the server without, and so it gives you a way to give search engines and users your content without requiring it to be rendered in the browser. So basically, at a very high level, it's allowing search engines to get your information on the server a lot easier. It gives us a lot more ways to kind of play around and provide search engines with content that we know will be indexed. So I could go into that. I'd be happy to go over a whole thing on Node.js and React and isomorphic web design.
Oh my gosh, yes. We just need you once a month. we need Kenyon once a month, right? So everyone loved you. First of all, everyone's saying thank you. Definitely a great and useful webinar, they say. Also, people are asking, can we please get another session with in-depth discussion on each of the tools with examples? Everyone says, yes, totally agree. Please, product schools or any way for them to go live with more in-depth based workshops. So I don't think we've ever had this much interest, and it just shows you how important SEO is and how important your knowledge is and how much we value that. So thank you so much for taking time today. This will definitely, everyone, this will be to be continued with Kenyon. Don't worry. We'll have you back on the channel, I hope. And I hope you had as much fun as we all did, coming in hot with that lightning round and trying to get it all put together. So thank you so much. I'm so happy that Nahir was able to be our superhero of the day. Shout out to Nahir for lending us his computer. And yeah,
thank you, Nahir.
Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you once again to Kenyon for being here, and thank you to everyone who comes to our channel and watches. So to get more information on our courses and more upcoming events, just go to productschool.com. You'll see the events tab there. We have 14 locations around the world, mostly in the US and Canada, and one in London. So if you're located near campus, just make sure you stop by for one of our weekly events. We usually host them on about Wednesday and Thursday nights. You can also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Slack, all the things. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Kenyon, so much. It was so much fun to have you. And
thank you for having me. Thanks for the time, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.
You kicked butt. It was amazing. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.